Welcome back. Does anyone remember the Karpov Kasparov World Championship match in 1990 in New York? I went it up there. I went up there for the first game. I think you know, well, how are you going to know which game is going to be a great game? The game I picked to go watch was pretty boring. It was a long Rui Lopez and ended up as a draw. But there was a game in that match where Kasparov with black sacrificed his queen for two minor pieces. Um, I like that sort of thing. And his bishop and knight, I think it was a bishop and knight, were just hopping all over the board and dominating the queen. Just a sight to behold. But Kasparov somehow, according to Yasser Seirawan, uh, he somehow lost the thread and let Karpov off with a draw somehow. It broke my heart. It was this game was gone over in Sarawan's book, not Nine Queens. What was the name of that? Nine Queens is an Argentinian movie, which is really nice. If you get a chance, check out Nine Queens. They got good uh, footnotes, or what do they call it? Where they translate it at the bottom of the screen. Um, anyway, Sarawan did a book of the 1990 World Championship match, and anyway, the reason I bring it up is that this business of sacrificing your queen for a bishop and knight can lead to very interesting chess, and the bishop and knight uh, can do magic under certain circumstances, and it's a lot of fun. So I want to show you a game I played against this fella. He calls himself Tactical Tal, and we played a bunch of games. We probably played 30 games, and I didn't score as well as I should have. Uh, Not a great player, not a master, but like I said, he beat me some games he shouldn't have, and he started talking a lot of smack. And you'll see. So this was a very enjoyable game. Look at this. He played f6. That's disrespect, right? Okay, this is actually there's a name for this. Uh, Maybe this should be on my list of things you got to know if you're going to be a hit at chess parties. Um, Damiano's defense. Uh, Damiano never played it, I think, and he didn't recommend it. He was just sort of going over opening. Of course, you can take on e5, and black doesn't take because he gets mated. After queen h5, and anyway, what happens is after knight takes e5, in order to anyway, it's not warranted. No analysis warranted. But anyway, d4 can never be a mad move. When black plays some sort of terrible opening move on move two, d4 is always a good move. So d6, um, bishop c4. Of course, he's weakened the diagonal, so this diagonal cries out. The idea that you would put your bishop on b5, pinning a knight or something, after he's pushed his pawn. No. This is the right diagonal. So bishop c4. Okay, so now I knew I was going to get to have my fun. Knight to c3, knight to c6. So of course I played d5. And of course he plays here, not knowing what I know. Of course I take his knight. He takes my queen. Boom. Knight to e6. The queen is going to move, and I'm going to take the bishop. So this is queen for two pieces. And if you're into the arithmetic, if that's how you think about chess, I'm down 3 points. But I don't think about it that this long. I've been doing this for decades. This queen for two minor pieces thing, and I got a lot of wins. I've played it in tournament games a bunch of times, and I have a plus score. But it's okay. It's for fun. Maybe the computer will give black big edges in some of these positions, and yet I win most of them. But here's another way to look at it, as opposed to me being down 3 points or black being up 3 points here. Um, Sometimes when like Petrosian used to sacrifice the exchange a lot, and you'd see, oh yeah, his knight is better than the other guy's rook. Yeah, this knight, this 3 point piece, is clearly better than this 5 point tower. Well, look at this position. Uh, how much better is this knight than that rook on h8? Or the rook on a8 for that matter? Is it maybe 3 points? We know there's a 2 point difference. Is it equal to a rook? No, 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 no. It's much better than a rook. And so what? So is it worth what, 6 points? Or I would think maybe 7. Okay, so if this knight is worth more than a rook, and then I'm getting the bishop on d1, so I'm really close to 9 points there. And then, if you look at it in that way, you won't be scared to death. Oh, where's my queen? Anyway, I'm this happened this last year, and so like I said, I've been doing this for decades. So I knew I was going to win this game. 96 Queen E7, and I take with the king. I want my knight out and being ready to threaten. Come in. Matter of fact, I think he played A6 here. Yeah, just to avoid knight to B5. So my decision to take with the king has already sort of paid off a little bit. A6 doesn't, isn't an attempt for him to blow me away with all his extra material. Okay, so I get some pieces out. Let's see, what does the computer think? Okay, the computer thinks that I'm minus 1.54. And yet I knew I was going to win this game. It's not correct, and yet I recommend this. Bishop at G5. Okay, they don't like this move. Now it's 0. Now it's even. So what is so terrible about this move? Let's just back it up and see. Here it's minus 1.35. And they recommend G6. And I guess just, and the game continues, I guess, or maybe play bishop H6 or something. But G5, which is what was played, turns it into almost an advantage for white. And, of course, that's a big part, of course, is the knight that's on E6. It can't be taken by anything. No rook. I mean, he would love to trade his rook, either one of his rooks for that knight. He'd love it. They can't get to the knight. The only thing that can take that knight is the queen, and of course that's losing. I suppose knight h6, knight f7, knight to d8. I suppose he could do that. We'll look at the rest of the game, but just imagine, give him 3 moves in a row. Suppose he gets his knight to d8, and then how about 4 moves in a row? He takes, and then I take back with the d pawn. Well, knight to d5 is going to be a crushing move, and that's with black getting 4 moves in a row. So g5, h4. One technique, I've almost got this down to a science, is to provoke the other fellow's pawns forward. And of course, whenever pawns move forward, they're leaving squares in their wake. Of course, his option was to take and devalue his pawns. Instead, he pushed and g4. I played h5. H5. I guess I wanted to avoid him playing because now it's harder for him to get his pieces out. Also, the f5 square beckons. And it won't be too long before my knight shows up there. The down to a science. No pawn breaks. You want to make sure a pawn break, even if it were to sacrifice a pawn or two, but all of a sudden the queen is out and marauding. You want to avoid that, and so I never get these sorts of positions with a wide open pawn center. No, it's got to be locked up. The knights have to be able to find really cozy squares near the middle. And I've got that here. I've got the f5 square. I guess that's all I need for right now. And my king, of course, is ridiculously safe. Yes, I'm not mating his king, but this is a positional uh, sacrifice. Nothing's happening really quickly, but and because the pawns are the way they are, nothing can happen quickly, and he's weakened a lot of squares here. Okay, so g4 h5 now. Okay, so we did get. He wants to chop a little wood here, but that was okay with me. The pawn structure stays. Knight takes. Knight e2. Well, we know where I'm headed. I'm headed to f5. And rook to g8. Knight to g3. Let's see, the computer. Okay, I'm still much worse here. Minus 2.38. They like b5. Now, he didn't play that, and I'm not particularly impressed with that move. He has no breaks. And again, I was certain I was going to win this game, and you'll win these games. Even, yeah, you're minus 2.38, white wins. Knight g3, king to d7. So he's connecting the rooks, I guess, is what's going on here. a4. Yeah, so, yeah, maybe b5. I'm preventing b5. Rook on a to e8. Yeah, so he wants to take that knight with that rook, and I don't blame him. But rook on a3, king to c8. Okay, I was heading that way with the rook, so good for him. Rook to c3. Okay, now I'm attacking c7 twice, sort of. So something's got to be done about it. Okay, king to b8. And now bishop to d3. Okay, I'm overprotecting the f5 square. And of course I'm hitting c7. So he played rook back to c8. Now rook to b3, threatening the a pawn. King a7. c4. Okay, I guess that makes sense. There's a regular King's Indian pawn structure, and c4, c5 is indicated. Now I don't have enough power on it just yet, but I'm headed that way. And he played c5. Now that, I guess his idea was that if I was going to play c5, he wanted to avoid that. Of course, I can't take en passant, but here's another. Let's sum up this c5 move. What does it all mean in the greater scheme of things? Well, what it means, first of all, it means, I'm not sure if the logic is there, but my knight on e6 is there for the duration. Yeah, his knight isn't, we were talking about his knight maneuver to d8 and then taking it. Well, as soon as the knight moves, my knight comes into f5, and I'm pushing him off the board. Forget minus 3 points. Yeah, this knight is maybe worth 8 now. Can that possibly be? How about 7? So quite a bit better than a rook. Rook is 5. I guess 7. Can we agree on that knight being worth 7 points? Maybe so. But anyway, but c5, it makes sure that we know that nothing will change in the middle of the board. Whatever happens is going to happen on the side. Well, on this side, white has a big advantage. He has, my a pawn is about to come up to a5. If it opens up, his king is wide open. And so, for instance, my rook is going to end up on a1. No, he can't play for b5. And also my rook can come into b6. I have all the play. Is my bishop on d3 a bad bishop? I suppose so. But yeah, it's not going to, every other piece, every knight, both knights, both rooks are going to participate in the attack. Yeah, I have the luxury of having a bad bishop, I guess. Let's see how it plays out. Rook a3, bishop, rook c8, c5. Okay, so now I play a5. I lock down the queen side. There's room enough for 2 rooks on the b line. It doesn't look like there is, but there is. Queen f7. Unclear what that is. King e2, connecting the rooks. Okay, f5. Not sure what the point there is. And as regards pawn structure, the change here is now the e4 square, a juicy square, wasn't available for knight. It is now, and of course the d6 square is very soft. He played queen f6. I guess the idea is to get to somehow get access to the white's interior. Unclear how that could possibly be. Or the idea is just to take that knight. Except then I have connected passed pawns. Not sure what his plan was. It may be that there wasn't much of a plan. EF, queen f6. Now I played bishop to e4. After just saying that it's a great square for a knight, I guess it would let the f pawn. I guess what I'm doing is I'm still building up my position. I can double my rooks on the b line, and in the meantime, nowhere on the king side. Of course, the center is completely locked down, but my f pawn is amply defended. My h pawn is amply defended, so nothing bad can go here. So let's just see, knight f7. Well, okay, then now this is logical. A minute ago, he couldn't go to f7 because my knight would go to f5. So he had me block the f5 square with my own pawn, and now his knight can, go to g5? Maybe that's the plan. Rook to b6. Okay, I'm threatening, now the knight can't move because the d6 pawn is hanging. Rook on g to d8. To d8. Okay, well, I'm not taking that rook. Remember, my knight is worth 7 points. His rook is worth 4, maybe. I'd be sacrificing material to take his rook. Rook to d, rook on a1. Okay, I'm doubling. Rook to d7. Rook a3. Now rook to g8. And rook on a to b3. Okay. I still think the knight belongs on e4, but I'm not willing to sacrifice any f-pawns for it. So he played knight to g5. Okay. Well, remember, that's my bad bishop. I'm not really worried about it. But I come up in a little defending here, you see. He got rid of my bad bishop. And now he maybe should have played queen to h6. But he had a chance to take the f-pawn. Oops. The computer didn't like that. I took here, and now the d6 square is very obviously a big problem. He took here, and I took. Of course, if he takes the rook, then I win his queen. King to a8. And now knight takes d6. And now he's got no checks. No checks, and mate on c7 is threatened. What to do? He ended up, I guess he just resigned here. He took the knight on e6. But the computer has me at +8. Almost +9, so it's like a force mate or something. Yeah, he can't move, and still it's 2 minor pieces for a queen. I'm still at 7, 5. Yeah, we're sort of even in material. But well, he can't defend c7 with the queen. He can defend it with the rook. But rook to c8. No, then I just take it. Oh no, oh yeah, if he plays rook to c8, I take his rook, and when he takes my rook, then I come back and win his queen again. Yeah, okay, so complete domination. So he took the knight, and there was nothing else to do, really. And now he played, we won't look at the rest of this game, but he played rook to d8, and for some reason I played e7 and let him take the knight and my rook. Rook to d7, he can't make another move. Okay. Anyway, I got a bunch of games like this, and maybe I'll bore you guys to death with them. But I would say that this there are a lot of opportunities when your opponent pins your with white. If your opponent pins your F3 knight, there are a lot of variations. Let me just show you one quick one. Everyone should know this one. It's common enough. Um, it comes out of an E5 opening, I guess. Well, it's a little bit of a stretch. Yeah, black has to play a terrible move like this. And how does this go? Oh, let me back this up a little bit. This is E4, E5, knight F3, knight C6, E4, D6, knight C3. I guess something like this. Here, well, I played this game. This is not the line I was looking at, and this is a lot more speculative. Okay, so I take the knight. I played a game like this. Bishop check, and now only move here that doesn't lose immediately. And now I get my knight out of the way, out of hock. He has to move his king here, and now I take with the king usually. I recommend this. This is we play chess for fun. You'll have some fun here. Will he survive? He might. He can play G6 and then hide his king back on G7. But there's a lot of room for creative play here, and I recommend it. I guess I might even play H4 here. But anyway, okay, so if you're a Karpov type player, you would never play like this. But who wants to play like Karpov? I do. But anyway, okay, so I hope you like this game. And like I say, there are a lot of chances for this queen for 2 minor. I look at it as 2 for 1. I get 2 pieces, he gets 1. What's not to like? Find the like button and subscribe, all that good stuff. Check me out next time. Chess for Closers.